This video is entitled, Do I Need to Be a Calculator to Do Well in this Course? The answer immediately is no, you don't. The last thing that I want you to focus on while you're going through this course is becoming super great at plugging numbers into an equation. So let's say that we are looking at functions, and the function is f of x equals, let's say, 2x squared plus 7. Okay, so first of all, let's remind ourselves that f of x, that this is saying that once we input an x into our function, it's going to become a y value. So these two statements are identical to one another, y equals 2x squared plus 7, or f of x equals 2x squared plus 7. And let's say our goal was to do something like find f of 1/8. Okay, well, what does that mean? That means that I want to put in a 1/8 for x and see what pops out for y. Okay, so that will entail putting in a 1/8 everywhere I see an x, and then computing. Now, so what does this say? Well, this says that I want to take the square of 1/8, I want to multiply it by 2, and add 7 to that result. Well, of course, you could go and multiply 1/8 by 1/8 and do that manually and keep track of the fraction, but if our goal in the end is to have a fraction, there's a much nicer way to do it. So how would I suggest that you do this? Well, in order to get better with the technology, in addition to understanding math, let's actually just plug this in just the way we see it. So in our home screen, we'll type into parentheses 1/8, and I'm just going to enter that as 1 divided by 8, because remember, a fraction really is another way of thinking about division. And we can press our squared button, plus 7, and calculator understands order of operations. So it understands that we want twice the square of 1/8, add 7 more to that result. Okay, so I press enter, and then I think, well, wait a minute, I wanted that to be in fractional form. That was really important to me. Okay, well, per one of our basic calculator videos, we could now take that result, press math, and convert it to a fraction, and press enter. So there we go. There is actually the most reduced form of that quantity as a fraction. Now, it's improper because improper means that the numerator is larger than the denominator, but who really cares? I mean, there are other ways to represent this, like a mixed number, for example. And if we really wanted to know, we know that 32 goes into 225 at least 7 times. So 32 times 7, if I took 7 copies of 32, that would get me 1 unit shy of the 225. So 32 goes into 225 7 full times, and then there's a remainder of 1. So I have 1/32 left over. So that's another way to convert to mixed numbers, but that's not really typically too important to worry about. So let's get good at working with the calculator and at taking advantage of the technology that we have rather than becoming human calculator. Could have done this is actually have entered the equation into your y equals screen per one of our videos. So 2x squared plus 7, and then I can go over to my table set, and I want to have my independent, my input value set to ask me. Press second graph to go over to my table. I can clear out this stuff. Oops. This one you actually have to press delete, and it'll delete those lines. And now I can just enter in 1/8, and it does give me the answer that way as well. Of course, this way is as a decimal, but we could certainly convert that to a fraction. I think we can. There are ways that we can convert that to a fraction, but we're not going to bother with it. Just to show you 2 ways that you can actually do this. So hopefully that helps alleviate some of the pressure of having to be a fraction manipulating expert. It's more important to understand what those fractions are representing than it is to be able to manipulate them, because that's what technology is for, and that's why our focus needs to shift from becoming human calculators to becoming humans that understand what and when to calculate.